Back to another episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. We're gonna go through another book summary. I haven't yet found anything, nor have I been looking for something, but I've now decided that we're gonna do so. Because the past few days was about, a lot of stoicism, a lot of philosophy, and a lot of things that, for some people work, and for some other people do not. So let's check out something different, something quote-unquote new. Let's head to the Nat Eliasson site that I do really enjoy for book summaries. Actually book notes to be exact. But here we go. Where is it? There it is. Here we are. It's a tiny bit too big. Still. There we go. So, Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. Seeking wisdom, anti-fragile, infinite jest. Do I know this book? It's incredibly written, deeply complex, confusing as hell, and you'll probably throw it at the wall when it is done. But then you'll kind of go, okay, I'm glad I did that, and maybe start it again. I think I do not actually know this one. As far as I know. I might actually also not know the cover. Could be the case. I am not quite sure. But aphorisms in general by Goethe and Enchiridion. I didn't, by the way, also know that Enchiridion is also on the neteliason.com site. I think that he's updated some book covers. But still, I wanna go through nothing apparently, because it doesn't work. Let's do it like this. Hello? Let's go through Infinite Jest by Foster Wallace. Foster Wallace is also the author of different books and or other books that, as far as I do remember, were also rated relatively high. I do associate something like Forest with David Foster Wallace, but I'm not quite sure. Anyway, there's also a podcast episode by Nat Eliasson himself, so if you want to check this one out, check this one out. Summary notes. Not for nothing did Oren say that people outdoors down here just scuttle in the Bactus from air conditioning to air conditioning. He had never been so anxious for the arrival of a woman he did not want to see. The moment he recognized what exactly was on one cartridge, he had a strong anxious feeling that there was something more entertaining on another cartridge and that he was potentially missing it. Which is interesting, by the way. It's like FOMO, isn't it? You're seeing something and apparently it is not enough. You are thinking that, the other cartridge, the other room, the other person, the other whatever is better, would be more interesting, would be whatever it may be. If this isn't really the case, is, definitely up to us, up to you, up to me. I think with whatever decision we took, there probably is a reason why we did that. There's probably a reason why we have chosen this over that and that over the other thing. She was the kind of fatally pretty and nubile wraith-like WRAITH like figure who glides through the sweaty junior high corridors of every nocturnal emitter's dreamscape. I'm pretty much anti-death. God looks by all accounts to be pro-death. I'm not seeing how we can get together on this issue here, and I, boo. As far as I do see now, it is not it's not a non-fiction book. It definitely is a fictional book, but I've very often heard before and read, seen, whatever, that quite successful people, they do also enjoy fictional books. It's not always about the non-fiction stuff. It is not always about quote-unquote learning. Why quote-unquote learning? Well, just because I'm reading a good book, just because I'm reading this book on X, Y, and Z, does not really mean that I am first of all going to use this knowledge. Second of all, that I'll keep the knowledge. Just because I've heard something once, maybe I'll keep it, maybe I don't. Probably I'll forget about it. And it is still about doing. If you do not do anything with the information that you have, even if you've gotten it, even if you have the wisdom now, if you don't do anything with it, it is just really useless. But yeah, like most North Americans of this generation, Hull tends to know way less about why he feels certain ways about the objects and pursuits he is devoted to than he does about the objects and pursuits themselves. It is hard to say for sure whether this is even exceptionally bad, this tendency. Know that jokes and sarcasm were here usually too pregnant and fertile with clinical significance not to be taken seriously. Sarcasm and jokes were often the bottle in which clinical depressives sent out their most plaguing screams for someone to care and help them. When you're thinking about it, when I'm saying something, it is something I think. It's apparently something that is in my head. Apparently it is something that, might... Well, it is something I generate. It is something that I produce. So a joke, as I'm thinking about it and as I'm, kind of also realizing, a joke is the same as a thought. Of course, it is something I'm thinking about. It is something that I'm producing. It may or may not be the truth. Just because I'm making some weird joke about whatever doesn't mean that this is my opinion. Just because it was only a joke. On the other hand, it is still something I generated. It is still something that is in my head. So it probably is something that has something to do with whatever I'm interested in and with whatever I'm thinking about, and so on and so forth. I think you know what I mean, and you know what I'm heading for. What is happening there? Anyway. I didn't want to especially hurt myself or punish. I don't hate myself, I just want it out. I didn't want to play anymore is all. The feeling is why I want to. The feeling is the reason I want to die. I'm here because I want to die. That is why I'm in a room without windows and with cages over the light bulbs and no lock on the toilet door. Why I took my shoelaces and my belt, but I noticed I don't take away the feelings, do they? That's a fair point. Like most clinically depressed patients, she appeared to function better in focused activity than in status. When I am boyish, training to compete for best, our training facilities on a sign very largely painted stated, "We are what we walk between." Mrs. Incandenza's half-brother or adoptive brother, depending on the vision, CT, had taken down Incandenza's founding motto. This might be Latin, might be some other language, I don't know, and had replaced it with the rather more upbeat, "The man who knows his limitations has none." Quite philosophical, and I wouldn't necessarily agree. It might be a metaphor, but I'm just now taking it literally, or literal. When I know my limitations, I know what to do and I know what not to do, and to what degree I should be doing certain things. It still really also depends on what is a limitation. What do I think is a limitation? I don't know, just because I'm not good at something doesn't mean that I am limited. Isn't it the case? Maybe this is also the point of this. I don't fucking know. When I say I am not able to do X, Y, and Z, I'm just not gonna do it in the first place. And I, probably also don't find any meaning in doing so, or any reason in doing so. I'm really bad at accounting, and I'm hopefully never going to do that, just also because I do not like it and I'm completely not interested in that. So, there's also, I guess, quite often, I don't want to say always, a reason why we have certain limitations, whatever this might mean to you. And I'm now talking about, rather things that we choose. I'm not talking at physical limitations, but yeah. A US of modern A, where the state is not a team or a code, but a sort of sloppy intersection of desires and fears, where the only public consensus a boy must surrender to is the acknowledged primacy of straight line pursuing this flat and short-sighted idea of personal happiness. If personal happiness is short-sighted, I don't know. There is some movements that do prefer like general happiness, and I can also understand that it makes sense. When we all are happy, we all are happy, and it might also mean that we are nicer and better and kinder to each and another. Might be the case, or might mean that, not necessarily, but still, I think this is is it called a plaidoyer? I don't know. My last thought for this episode. When we all a bit nicer, when we are all a bit nicer to each and to each of us, like I am nicer to the bus driver, then I don't know, I think chances are at least that the bus driver is also nicer to his wife, children, or whomever it might be about, I don't know. On one hand, which is also a reason why I think that karma is quite practical, just because it makes sense to a certain degree. On the other hand, well, just being nice to each and another, it makes sense. It makes life better for all of us, so why shouldn't we do that? But yeah, with that being said, I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.